Hello, good evening, and welcome to the first episode of the Real Estate Niches podcast. My name is Michael D'Angelo. I'm a mortgage specialist. I'm also the co-host of this podcast, uh, taking responsibilities of this episode. Extremely excited, as I am with most podcasts, to learn more information. We have a special guest with us today. I'm looking forward to learning as much as possible from her. Her name is Melinda. Melinda Hartrum. She is the owner of the Hartrum Financial Coaching. Melinda, great to meet with you. Great speaking with you today.
Nice to
Do you
meet
want to let our
you.
listeners? Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You want to let our listeners know a little bit more about yourself, and before we dive into this podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me on. It's going to be fun and exciting for me. So I'm a professional operations manager. I have been doing that for 25 years. Mom of two so far wonderful young adults, 18 and 19 years old, living
Oh, they
in.
made it. They made it then.
They did. So far, they're okay.
That's good. That's good.
Living up in North Jersey in the Skylands region, working by day as an operations manager, and by night, having a lot of fun, changing the world with my coaching business.
Awesome. And you know what? We look forward to learning a little bit more about this, financial coaching business that you have going on. So why don't you just explain to me what a money coach is, and why would somebody be seeking to have a money coach?
Yeah, everybody's heard of life coaches.
Mhm.
Most people have. So it's similar, but my focus is really about people's finances. And money coaches are, trained in various different systems, hopefully with practical and effective personal tips to help people be better with their money. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck in the United States. And I don't think that's really the way that most people want to live. So they typically will seek out a coach for a variety of reasons, which can include anything from figuring out managing their checkbook so that they don't get bounced checks, anything through putting together a plan for purchasing a house or getting out of debt. A lot of people are house poor, in this country, need help. They need some ideas of doing it differently, even through working through the steps to get people on a path for retirement and building a strategy for what life is going to look like after that. So typically clients are looking for an objective sounding board, someone that doesn't have a stake and can help walk through those big financial decisions.
Nice. And that's awesome to know that you're obviously giving back and teaching people exactly how they should be treating their money. But I have a question for you now. What would be the difference between what you do and that of what a financial advisor does?
Yeah. So Michael, I don't know about you, but I really was never taught how to handle money. My parents talked about it a little bit. I think I might have taken a class in high school, but really sent out in the world and, go out and get a credit card and figure this out and buy a house and make money and save, but really never knew how to do it. So that's what a coach can do. It's that practical, day-to-day stuff. We're going to take you from wherever stage you're at with your finances. You could be, have $1 million in the bank account, wanting to make a decision on, is it time to retire or should I buy this house, and just need that advice, different perspective, someone to bounce the idea off of. Now, financial advisor, we're often confused with, is that investment advisor. That's the person you go to with your IRA, with your 401k, with your Roth to say, how do I get this to grow? What do I need to invest in? Which fund should I pick? What percentage? All of that. So a financial advisor is licensed and certified professional, and they're focused primarily on that. Sometimes they can help you with the other stuff as well or give you advice, but that's not their forte, and vice versa. So we typically work in tandem with each other in a great environment. You want to be working maybe with both. Maybe you don't necessarily need a coach, but a coach can really be helpful to help navigate those decisions that we need to make.
Okay, awesome. And thank you for explaining the difference for our listeners so they have an idea. And they also understand that you guys kind of work in tandem. So it's not like you're competing against each other. You're both, putting your efforts to help the client in the end be in the best, financial situation.
Yeah.
So we were speaking a little bit beforehand, and I just want to touch on it. You mentioned somebody that I've never heard of before. Maybe I need coaching. I don't know. But Dave Ramsey.
Yes.
So could you explain a little bit more about that? I guess it's a coaching style and what it brings to the table.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey is a author. He's originally known or most well known for his radio talk show where people call in and get financial advice. From him, started 30 years ago out there teaching people some practical steps that he learned from mistakes that he made in his life. So he's well known, has helped millions of people, authored at least 8 different books, a couple of them number one. Many people have heard of the debt-free scream. So on his radio show, he'll counsel people to follow certain steps to get out of debt. And when they do, they call in and they, I'm out of debt, and they scream, I'm finally debt free. So a lot of people recognize him from that. You may have heard it. He had some really difficult financial situations, made his first million in real estate and lost every penny of it. He's similar to like the Susie Ormans or the Robert Kiyosaki. I always get that wrong. Correct me. Jim Cramer that we all watch on the money channels, and they're all awesome. They all have great advice. For me, Ramsey's techniques I thought were simple and easy to follow and easy for me to duplicate. Some of the other things that some of those other folks I mentioned were a little bit too complicated for me. So that's the difference. So under his organization, like I said, he started out doing the coaching himself. He's expanded, multinational business. He now trains people to be Ramsey preferred coaches, to go out and take his message and his message in the system to others so that they can do better with their money. And the people that are Ramsey preferred coaches make a commitment to follow and teach his methods.
Okay, nice. And that's cool to hear that. I find most things in this world are trial by fire, and that he's willing to share the advice of his mistakes and his failures. Obviously, he learned from them. And I agree as well, too. I think when it comes to financing, you want to be as simple as possible. You're not trying to overcomplicate things too much. That's why, it's good to not have everything in your name when you start to invest in investment properties. It's good to put them into specific entities that you can pay yourself from and keep it all separated. So I agree with that 100%. I think that's extremely smart to keep things basic, not get too crazy. And yeah, that's cool that Ramsey, obviously shares his mistakes so others don't have to suffer the same fate.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now, you were saying earlier that you already have a full-time job. So what made you get into actually coaching, and why did you pick this as your side hustle?
Well, this is similar to Dave. I had a rough road with money as well. I've
Mhm.
made all of the mistakes that you could probably make, in my opinion. I've had those big hurdles in my life. Filed a bankruptcy once. I've had
Fun.
vehicles repossessed. It's not fun. It's very
I'm
scary.
joking. Joking.
I've fought back a foreclosure, and I even had an IRS audit, which I ended up owing $26,000, which was probably the tipping point. So, I'm one of those people who made very good money, but I was still broke and dealing with these crazy things in my life because, as I mentioned earlier, Mike, I, just wasn't taught how to manage it. And money, like, literally leaked through my fingers. I would get it and it would be gone. It would disappear. And, I talked about my son. One day I had a conversation with him. We were just chilling in the living room, and he said to me, "Hey, Mom, you make good money, right?" And I thought, okay, I'm about to get hit up for something. He wants something. Like, what's he going to drop on me right now? And he said, "I think you make too much money to be broke all the time." And that really just like took me back, like hit me like a ton of bricks. And he said, "I'm taking this class in school, and it's this Dave Ramsey book, and we're learning about total money makeover. And I think you could do better." So, of course, it crushed me, but it also was a wake up call. And I'm like, "Give me the book. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you
Yeah.
learning? Teach me." And I did it. I followed what he learned, and, changed our life, started to save money for the first time, started following the system that Dave talks about getting out of debt and seeing those results and feeling like there was a light at the end of the tunnel for all of those big bills that I had, including a $70,000 student loan. I mentioned earlier that, I made good money. I have an MBA. I'm very well educated. I'm very successful in my daytime job, but I just didn't know how to spend it well. I didn't know how to save it well. So that was really the start. That was 4 years ago. And like a lot of people, as I'm seeing now, the COVID shutdowns had a big impact on a lot of people financially. A lot of people had big fears of what could happen when we didn't know what was going on in April. So, I had really been in a place of power with a nice, big, huge cushion in my savings account. And I saw all these people struggling, and I wanted to do something productive with my time. I couldn't go out. I was locked in my house. So my kids are grown, and I just decided I'm going to take this class. And I stuck to it, finished the class, did the work to become a Ramsey Preferred Coach. And since then, I've been helping people all over the country, get help and see a different way to handle their money.
Okay, that's awesome. And I'm glad you were able to almost like Ramsey, have your redemption story, find your little passion there, and be able to help others instead of. I mean, I'm glad that you helped yourself and you were able to get on your feet, be able to yeah, actually be able to save money again. But I'm glad that you're also helping out others, which leads me to my next question is you know, so why does coaching matter to the Real Estate Niches podcast viewership? Like, what do you think they can get out of money coaching?
You know what? I really saw it right away in a couple of different areas, not only for their clients, but also for themselves. I've been around the real estate market my whole life. My whole professional career has had some connection to the real estate business. And, a lot of people in the industry make your regular incomes, commission based, you get an influx, and then you might not have anything. Right now, everybody's doing really well. The economy is booming, houses are selling. That's awesome. But sometimes, people are in struggle and they need a system to be able to manage their own money effectively and to build reserves for those low times that are going to happen. We've all seen it. And then also through a value add idea for their clients, because I've had the opposite in my business. I've had a couple real estate agents come through for the reasons that I said, because they needed to get their own finances together, but they often say, oh, this person came to me and they wanted to buy this, $500,000 house, and they're making $30,000 a year. And I want to be able to help them, but it's not really feasible. So I don't know what to do with them. So I've had people talk about sending me their clients to help them understand, like, what's the process for getting their deposit saved, and how does that work, and what do you need to do in terms of your credit. So really, it's a good connection. It's a great relationship, to have someone that you could refer people to, or if you needed help yourself. I really think that at the present time, there's a lot of resources out there, but it's also a lot of noise. And sometimes we need someone that we can trust to help us really guide our clients into a safe system or process, and give them achievable goals that meet their needs and their wants. I actually had a client who, was living paycheck to paycheck, but said that they, wanted to go out and buy their dream home. And they had a low credit score. They didn't have a really big deposit together, and was able to talk them through what were the practical realities of what they needed to do to be able to do that, and what that lifestyle decision may mean. If you're going to increase your mortgage $1,000 a month, but you're currently living to paycheck, how's that going to work? Like, what's your plan? And helping them see how the system works, getting them to be able to make the decisions that were right, purchasing decisions for them in the timeline that they needed, getting their credit scores back in line. So that was really a win, I think, both for me and for them, to be able to see something different. And now they're working with their real estate professional or their mortgage broker to get them into this scenario that fits.
Nice. And I'm glad you were able to help them out with that and get them to a spot that made sense. Now, sticking to like the real estate and mortgage side of things, using Ramsey's theories, what kind of recommendations do you have for mortgage and real estate?
Yeah, so the Ramsey works around the 7 baby steps. So his overall foundation is there's these 7 principles. If you follow them in order, you're going to be in a good spot with money. Simple thing like using a budget, getting out of debt, even more, like all through building a legacy and giving like crazy when all of these things are handled in order. For the real estate market, for the mortgage market, what I may say is going to be contrary to what some people in the real estate business currently believe. So just want to preface it with that. But I do believe that there's still really good sound tips for the general average buyer. So we all know that the home is generally the largest financial investment that most people will ever make, and maybe only once in their life. So Ramsey offers classes called the Financial Peace University, and one of the whole classes is devoted to real estate. And we walk the students through the process of buying a home, even through if you need to sell, these are the things that you want to kind of do: stage it, clean it up, get yourself a real estate professional, because you need that on your side to protect you. They even have, they call them ELPs. They're endorsed local providers, people that connect with Ramsey, get certified through him or whatever it is, through his system, so that they can be referrals. Typically, we'll say to people, or Dave Ramsey will say, if you can buy a house in cash, in full, because debt is not the answer. So that's the fundamental principle that we want to get people out of debt, because our income is our best wealth building tool. And when we pay it out to other companies, we're giving our money away. We're giving away our opportunity to build wealth. So that's the first principle. But we know that most people will not do that. In America, it's the American dream to own a home, right? We all want to buy a house. But it also could be a nightmare. It may not necessarily be a dream if you're not making the right decisions. And so Dave says, it's funny, 100% of foreclosures happen on homes that have mortgages. And that's the fundamental. So I talked to you about him early in his career. He built his wealth, originally his first million in real estate investment, and had to deal with his loans getting called in by the bank. So that's the premise. So if we're not going to do that, we're not going to buy it in cash. Let's talk about some other practical steps that the average American could do. And we encourage people to get a 15-year fixed mortgage over a 30-year. And that's basically just to make the debt smaller and the interest that you pay over the long term. Typically a conventional over an arm, so they don't have that modification in payments. And we'll teach them what that is, what the difference is. Putting down at least 10%, but preferably 20%, so that they can avoid the PMI, and explaining what that is. And whenever possible, get the payment to be no more than 25% of your take-home pay. If we find that if you go over that, that's when the American dream becomes the American nightmare, and people are living house poor. We've heard that term. Some of us may know people who are in that situation. Some of us have been there ourselves. So that's really what we do. We help explore the options for them if they already own a home to maybe refinance into this type of vehicle. And sometimes if they're really like in dire straits and they're really house poor, like maybe you do need to sell it. Like maybe that's something that you need to do. So that's the fundamentals of what we would share with the clients.
And you're absolutely right about all that. The hard thing is sometimes people get emotional as opposed to using logic when it comes to decisions like this. And unfortunately, and as you mentioned, for a lot of people, it's the biggest purchase, the biggest investment they make in their whole life. And it's not meant to be an emotional thing. It's meant to be something that is methodically planned, something that is going to work out for you and not bite you in the rear end on the back end. So I'm glad that you shared that information with people. I try to convey that message to everybody that I speak with and do business with. Luckily, I deal with a lot of investors at this point in time, and they are just cutthroat and shrewd. So they're not like the normal first-time home buyer. So thank God I deal with that a little bit. So.
Well, it's true, Mike. You know, one of the tenets that we share with people is that money is 80% behavior and 20% mindset. Like in theory, we know we're supposed to save money, you know, increase our income, get out of debt, save for retirement. We know that, but we don't behave that way. And that motion, it's everything. You know, I'm at the store and I need this beautiful dress because it's so pretty and look how wonderful I'm going to look, but my mortgage payment is late. So do I buy the dress, put it on a credit card, or do I stick to the logical decision and walk away and not buy the dress and pay my mortgage on time? Yeah. And that's really the practical stuff we face.
I agree. It's why I drink cheap beer. I drink Bud Light. I don't need any fancy stuff.
Oh, I don't know if I can go there with you, Mike. I'm a Stella girl. I'm a Stella girl.
Stella girl, okay. A little more classy than me. Just a little bit there. Now, so you mentioned this class that Ramsey teaches. What is it, the Financial Peace University? I think that's what you said. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that class is really cool. It's a 9-week class. It's offered all over the country by people really just like me who were like, this is awesome. I got to help other people do this. So they decide to volunteer and be coordinators. Ramsey built the class did all the workbooks, organized it, and then there's some coordinators out there teaching. So they're doing it in, community rooms, houses of worship, libraries all over the country. And now, really, really, we've mastered this Zoom model, which is beautiful. So we teach this 9-week class, which includes like a little nugget of the 7 steps and beyond. Like I said, there's one whole class that's devoted to mortgages. There's one whole class that's devoted to insurance and making sure that we're protected. There's one whole class that talks about how consumer debt, the idea of going into credit card debt and just buying that car and paying a $700 mortgage, makes sense. Do you believe the average car payment in the United States is $544?
I bought my car cash, so I don't know.
That's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
that's what we got to get happening around the world. $544. If you could put that into an investment account or an IRA to save for your house purchase, that money's so much more put to better use. So that's what we teach in those classes. I've been doing them on Zoom, get to meet people all over the country with different stories and help them find a new way to handle their money. So my next class is in September, but you can go onto the Ramsey website, put in your zip code, and you can find a class locally, in person, or virtually. It's very inexpensive. I recommend it really to everyone, no matter where you are, starting out in life, starting out in marriage, have $2 million in the bank account and they're like thinking, am I ready to retire? How's this going to happen? So this class is really a great resource, very inexpensive.
Awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that resource. Since we have you here, another resource we're going to need from you. Now, what tips do you have for us? Because let's be honest, there's a lot of fakes in this world. So many fugazis that I don't trust are con people trying to get over on you.
Yeah.
So what tips do you have to find like a money coach that is trustworthy?
Yeah, I really think you're right. There's a lot of people out there that don't have your best interest in mind. The insurance agent who's selling you a policy that you don't necessarily need, but they're going to make a commission off of it, so they're going to sell it to you anyway. So we just generally teach people, for anything, you need a professional. Don't try to go it alone. Do it on your own because you need your protection. You need the professional advice. But we say interview at least 3 people. Talk to them about their system, what their experience is or what their process is, how they're going to work, what they expect, and interview them so you can know that you feel comfortable with them, you have a rapport with them, and trust your intuition. If you get the spidey sense that they're just trying to sell you and they keep saying, well, if you just give me that $10,000 account, I'll invest it and you'll have $30,000 in 3 months. If they say that and your spidey sense goes up, then walk away, trust your instinct, go with someone. There's a lot of great people out there, but there are some bad eggs out there too. So be sure that you're protecting yourself.
Don't be gullible and just trust anybody is what you're saying. Make sure that you go out and you have your feelers and you talk to multiple people. I like that.
Yeah.
What additional resources do you think are available for someone that wants to like dip their toe into learning a little bit more about, I know, the money coaching or even Dave Ramsey and some of his stuff?
Well, of course, I'm going to talk about myself first, right? So,
well, I was going to let you do that at the end. I was going to say, how do we get a hold of you? But that works for me as well. Just, let's hear you talk about yourself.
Thanks, Mike. I'm having fun with you. So yeah, I have
I appreciate it.
HartrumFinancialCoaching.com. It's a very, very primitive website that I did create myself because I didn't use it professional, but it's there.
You got to reach out to Yardell then. All right.
I will be. Yardell, I'll be hooking up with you soon. I have a Coach Melinda page on Facebook where you can get a lot of good ideas and tips and learn more. Of course, social media, Dave Ramsey is all over it. He's got some professional personalities that help him as well, Anthony O'Neill. There's a psychologist. There's like Ken Coleman is a professional, entrepreneurial coach. So great stuff, on social for those gentlemen. There are those people. Christy Wright is Business Boutique. She's awesome for people that are entrepreneurs. And just RamseySolutions.com. Like I said, there are other financial coaches or gurus out there. And if you really want to learn more and follow systems, there's lots of resources out there.
Awesome. I know we were playing tag there back and forth trying to get this thing scheduled, but Melinda, I'm really happy that we were able to get you on the podcast. Really happy for you to be able to share your story. It's good to inspire others and let them know that just because you're in a situation that's not favorable at the moment, it doesn't mean that you're stuck there forever. You don't have to lose. You can come out the other side. You can win. And it's good that you're not only somebody who's been through it, but you're also an advocate on helping those get out of it, and just teach people in general how to stay afloat, because we definitely are going to have a shift in the market as far as what I can tell right now. And those who are not prepared will probably be reaching out to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's serious. There's a lot of people who last year, I think we all got that wake up call where we realized the world could change in a dime, and maybe our jobs weren't as secure as we thought they were, or our health wasn't secure as we thought they were. And being prepared and having the system at that time gave me a sense of peace. There was one day in April where 3 of my family members called or texted me because they had all been laid off. And I had such a nest egg of savings at the time that I was able to say, don't worry about it. Just call me and let me know if you need anything, because I can help you. And to be there versus, $70,000 in student loan debt, $26,000 in IRS debt, car payments, credit cards, my accounts getting captured because I was behind on bills 4 years ago. There is hope to anyone out there who's looking for a different way, or if you know someone who needs a different way. I'm happy to say that I'm student loan free, and I never thought I was going to be student loan free. I thought I was going to be paying that sucker until I died. So yeah, I'm happy that you gave me this opportunity to chat with you. It's been a lot of fun, great to share with you and your viewers. Hopefully we gave somebody some ideas.
Absolutely. And you're right. It is a great feeling to no longer have any debt on you, and just to kind of just go out there. I'm in the same exact boat. I finished everything else off. So it is a great feeling. I do agree. And I appreciate your testimonial. I appreciate all the information that you gave us today. Everyone reach out to her. Her information should be on the video. If not, she said it, go back and listen to it, find out how to get a hold of her. But we're going to put that information on here. Melinda, great speaking with you. Again, my name is Michael D'Angelo. I'm a mortgage specialist. I want to take this time thank Yardell Perkins of Perkatech. I also want to thank Joe Scarice of the former Smart Real Estate podcast, but now the Real Estate Niches podcast, for this opportunity to present to you people. I hope everybody has a great night, good weekend. And until next time, thanks for listening to the Smart Niches podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, gents. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. You have a great one.
You too.